First question says that here are the first four terms of an arithmetic sequence. The terms are 1, 4, 7, and 10. Find an expression in terms of n for the nth term of the sequence. So for the nth term, first we need to find the common difference. Between 1 and 3, we're adding. Between 1 and 4, we're adding 3. Between 4 and 7, we're again adding 3. And between 7 and 10, we're adding 3. So that means the common difference is 3. Now, to find the nth term, we always multiply the common difference by n. So it's going to be 3n. This is what we begin with. Now we need to change this 3n to make sure that we get the same terms that are given in the sequence. So if we use 3n, the first term would be 3 times 1, which is 3. Now if you notice in the sequence, the first term is 1, not 3. So to turn 3 into 1, we need to subtract it from 2. So using that, if we find the fourth term, let's say, so that's going to be 3 times 4 minus 2, and that's 10. Hence, the nth term is 3n minus 2. Then since the nth term of a different arithmetic sequence is 5n plus 17, find the 12th term. So simple, you just substitute n equals to 12 in the nth formula. So T12 would be 5 times 12 plus 17, 60 plus 17, and that's 77. That's your answer. Question 2 says 450 students were asked how they traveled to school on Monday. Each student walked or traveled by bus or traveled by car or traveled by bicycle. Each student used one method of travel. One of these students is chosen at random. The table shows information about the probability of each method of travel. Work out how many of the 450 students traveled by car. So remember, the total probability of an event happening, like in this case, which is the student going to school, is equal to 1. So in this going to school, the student can either walk, take the bus, car, or bicycle. Hence, 1 equals to 0.20 plus x plus 2x plus 0.26. So that's going to be 1 equals to 0.46 plus 3x. Take the 0.46 to the other side. So 1 minus 0.46 equals to 3x. That's going to be 0.54. Divide both sides by 3. That's going to give us 0.18. That is the value of x. So now they want us to work out how many of the 450 students traveled by car. Probability of car is 2 times x, so 2 times 0.18. That is going to be 0.36. So number of students would be 0.36 times 450, and that equals 162. Question 3 says find the highest common factor of 72 and 108. So let's prime factorize 72 and 108. 72 is 8 times 9. 8 is 4 times 2. And 4 is 2 times 2. 9 is 3 times 3. So if you notice, these are our prime factors. We can't further break these down. For 108, it's going to be 54 times 2. 54 is 6 times 9. 6 is 3 times 2. And 9 is 3 times 3. These are once again our prime factors for 108. So now you have to highlight the ones that are common between both 72 and 108. So for that, we have a 3, we have a 3, we have another 3, another 3. We have a 2, another 2, another 2. So as you can see, the HCF is going to be 2 square times 3 square, which is 4 times 9, and that's 36. That's your answer. Question 4 says Ava records the number of kilometers she drives each month. In April, Ava drove 943 kilometers. This is 15% more than the number of kilometers she drove in March. Work out the number of kilometers Ava drove in March. So April is basically 15% more than the number of kilometers she drove in March. So 15% of x plus x. So that's 943 equals to 115 over 100 x, basically 115% of the number of kilometers you drove in March. So that's going to be 943 times 100 divided by 15. And that is going to give us 820 kilometers is the number of kilometers she's traveled in March. That is your answer. And question number 5, which is for 4 marks, says that in the diagram ABCDE is a regular pentagon. So if it's a regular pentagon, that means we have all equal sides and all angles on the inside of the shape are going to be equal, basically the interior angles. So angle AEF is given as 96. Work out the size of the obtuse angle FED. They want us to find this angle. All these 3 angles add up to 360 because angles around a point are equal to 360. So we can easily find the interior angle for the pentagon because we know the number of sides for the pentagon, which are 5. So n equals to 5. Interior angle formula is n minus 2 times 180 over n. So that's 5 minus 2 times 180 over 5. And that is going to give us 108 degrees. So this angle is 108. So we can easily find FED now by subtracting 108 and 96 from 360, because once again, angle around a point equal to 360. So that's going to give us 156 degrees. That is your answer. This is a very easy 4-mark question. Honestly, should have been 3 marks. But simple steps. You need to know the properties of a regular polygon. You need to know the formula for the interior angle and sum of angles around a point. Question 6 says expand and simplify. So we're expanding double brackets. M would get multiplied to m and negative 8. And similarly, 5 would get multiplied to m and negative 8. So m times m minus 8 plus 5 times m minus 8. That's m squared minus 8m plus 5m minus 40. Collect the like terms. So negative 8m plus 5m is negative 3m. And everything else comes as it is. So that is your answer. Part B says solve 3n minus 4 equals to 5n plus 6 over 3. Show clear algebraic working. So whenever we have a fraction on one side and like whole number terms on the other side, and the fraction isn't being added or subtracted to any other term, we can cross multiply. So that means we multiply 3 with 3n minus 4 to get rid of the fraction on the right hand side. And this is 5n plus 6. Multiply 3 with all the terms inside the bracket. So that's 9n minus 12. 5n plus 6 comes as it is again. Now we collect like terms on each side. So the variables on one side and the constants on the other. So 9n minus 5n equals to 6 plus 12. That's 4n equals to 18. N equals to 18 over 4, which simplifies to 9 over 2 or 4.5. That's your answer. Question 7 has given us a universal set of different numbers starting from 23 to 34. A is a set for even numbers. B includes 23, 29, and 31. C is multiples of 3. We have to list the members of the set for B union C. So when you have the U, that means union. When it's upside down, like sad face, that's intersection. So this is union. And union means all elements in B and C. So now let's first list down the elements of A and C. A is an even number, so that's going to be 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, and 34. For C, multiples of 3, that's going to be 24, 27, 30, and 33. So B union C would include all the elements in B and C. So that's going to be 23, 24, 27, 29, 30, 31, and 33. In case an element was being repeated in both of them, you would only write it once, not twice. Then it says A complement intersection C. So intersection means common elements. And complement means that elements that are not included. So A complement means that elements that are not a part of A and that are common with C. So not a part of A and common with C are 27 and 33. Because as you can see, 24 is in A and C, so is 30. So those are not included in the intersection. But 27 and 33 are not in A, but are in C. So that is our answer. Part B says, is it true that B intersection C is a null set? So B intersection C. B was 24, 27, 30, and 33. So if we compare B and C, we can see that there's no element common. When there's no common element, that means it's a null set. It has no elements. So yes, there is no common element between B and C. Then it says the set D has 4 members and is such that D intersection A union C is a null set. List the members of set D. So A union C and then intersection with D. A union C would be 24, 26, 27, 28, 30, 32, 33, and 34. That's A union C. So they're saying it's intersecting with D, and that is a null set. So then D would have been 25, 23, and 29, 31. That's it. This would be D then. Because if we find the intersection of A union C and D, there is nothing common between them. And only in this case, we would get a null set. So elements of D are this 25, 23, 29, and 31. For this, write this in ascending order. So 23, 25, 29, 31. That's your answer. Question 8 is 3 marks. It says that a cylinder is placed on a table. The volume of the cylinder is 1,575 centimeter cube. The force exerted by the cylinder on the table is 84 newtons. Work out the pressure on the table due to the cylinder. So pressure equals to force over area. We have the force, we need to find the area. So volume, if you know, is basically for the cylinder pi r square h. Pi r square is your area of the base. So 1,575 equals to pi r square times 21. So if we divide these two, that gives us the area. 75 centimeters square. This is your area. So now pressure is going to be force 84 divided by 75. And that gives us 1.12. That is your pressure that's exerted on the table due to the cylinder. Question 9 says the table gives the amount of rice produced by each of 2 countries in 2020. We have Indonesia and Argentina. Write 3.5 times 10 to the power of 7 as an ordinary number. So ordinary numbers are numbers which are not written with 10 to the power of something. So for 3.5 times 10 to the power of 7, we're going to move the decimal 7 places to the right-hand side. Why to the right-hand side? Because the power is positive. If the power was negative, we would move the decimal 7 places to the left-hand side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to be 35. And then after 35, we add 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That is your number in ordinary form. Then it says in 2020, Japan produced 6,780,000 more tons of rice than Argentina. Work out the amount of rice Japan produced in 2020, giving your answer in standard form. So Argentina is 8.2 times 10 to the power of 5. And to this we add 6.78 times 10 to the power of 6. I converted 6,780,000 into standard form because they want the answer in standard form. So when I convert this in standard form, I move the decimal 6 places to the left-hand side now. So what we can do is we can take 10 to the power of 5 common. That leaves us with 8.2 plus 6.78 times 10. That's 10 to the power of 5 times 8.2 plus 67.8. Add the two. So that's going to equal to 76. So 76 times 10 to the power 5 in standard form is 7.6 times 10 to the power of 6. The reason why I changed 76 to 7.6 is because in standard form, the number before the decimal, it has to be 1 and greater, but less than 10. So we can't write 76. 76 has to be turned into decimal, so 7.6. So 7.6 times 10 to the power of 6 is your answer. Question 10 says simplify 2p to the power of 0 where p is greater than 0. Anything to the power of 0 always equals to 1. So since the entire 2p has a power of 0, then all of this equals to 1. If it was just p to the power of 0 times 2, then that would equal to 2 times 1, that's 2. But in this case, since the entire bracket has a power of 0, it's equal to 1. Then it says y to the power of 9 times y to the power of negative 3 equals to y to the power of n. Find the value of n. So whenever we have similar bases being multiplied, we add the powers. So it's going to be 9 plus negative 3 equals to y to the power of n. Y to the power of 6 equals to y to the power of n. Since the bases are same on both sides, that means the power are also equal. So n is 6. Then it says simplify fully 5a to the power 4 c square whole power 3. So whenever there's a power outside the bracket, inside the bracket, it's distributed on all of the terms inside the bracket, and the powers are multiplied, not added. Powers are added when you're multiplying similar bases. But when there's a power outside the bracket and inside the bracket, those powers are multiplied. So for 5, it's going to be 1 times 3. For it's going to be 4 times 3. And c is 2 times 3. Now, the reason why I did 1 times 3 for 5 is because whenever there's no power written on top of a number or a variable, it's always assumed to be 1. So it's going to be 5 cubed, a to the power of 12, c to the power of 6. 5 cubed is 125. So this is our fully simplified answer. Question 11 says diagram shows a roof support. The roof support is made from 4 lengths of wood, AB, AC, BC, and MC. AC equals to BC equals to 9 meters, and AB is 12 meters. So this is also 9. Angle AMC is 90. This is also going to be 90. So if these two lengths are 9, these two angles are also going to be equal. So they are saying that Lewis is going to buy lengths of wood to make the roof support. The wood costs 21.50 euros per meter. Each length of wood he buys has to be a whole number of meters. Work out the total cost of the wood Lewis needs to buy. Show your working clearly. So we have 4 lengths, AC, CB, which are already given. AB is given. We need to find the length of CM. So since it's an isosceles triangle, that means CM is right in the middle. So this is 6, and this is also 6. In a right angle triangle, if we're trying to find one of the missing lengths and the angle is not given, we can easily use Pythagoras theorem. So it's going to be CM squared plus AM squared equals to CA squared. CM squared equals to CA squared minus AM squared. That's going to be 9 squared minus 6 squared, which is 81 minus 36. Square root both sides. And CM comes out to be 6.71 meters. Since the question says that each length of wood has to be whole number of meters, we're going to round this to 7 meters. So for the perimeter, which is basically the total length of wood that we need for this roof support, that's going to be 9 times 2 plus 12 plus 7, and that gives us 37 meters. So for total cost, they said that for per meter, it's 21.50 euros. So for 37 meters, it's going to be 37 times 21.50, and that gives us 795.5 euros. That is the total cost of wood Lewis needs to buy. Question 12 says factorize fully 6y squared minus 5y minus 4. So to factorize this, we can either use the quadratic formula or splitting the middle term. So for the factorization, we can either use the quadratic formula splitting the middle term. I'm going to use splitting the middle term. So we multiply the coefficient of y squared with a constant. So 6 times 4, and that's 24. Now we need to find factors of 24. So factors of 24 are 2 and 12, 8 and 3, 24 and 1, and 6 and 4. So once you've listed down our factors, we need to pick that set of factors, which when added or subtracted give us the middle term, which is 5. So we can clearly see that 8 minus 3 would give us 5. So that means we're going to replace negative 5y with negative 8y plus 3y. As you can see, we've only changed the middle term. We've replaced it with 8y plus 3y. Everything else is the same. So once we have split the middle term into factors of the product of the coefficient of y squared and constant, we now split the equation into two groups and use factoring by grouping to further simplify this. So we see that in the first group, we have 2y common. So you take 2y common and we're left with 3y minus 4. And the second group, we only have plus 1 common. So 3y minus 4 come in the second bracket. Now between 2y and plus y, we have 3y minus 4 common. So when we take that common, we're left with 2y plus 1 in the second bracket. So that is your fully factorized answer. In case they were asking you to solve the quadratic equation, then you would put these brackets equal to 0 and find the values of y, which are going to be 4 over 3 and negative 1 over 2. But since it says only factorize, so you just stop over here. You don't need to further solve this question. Then part B says express 2x plus 1 over 4x plus 7 minus 5x over 3x as a single fraction in simplest form. So remember, whenever we're adding or subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, we're supposed to make the denominators equal. If you're multiplying or dividing fractions with unlike denominators, you do not need to make the denominators equal in that case. This rule only applies to addition and subtraction of fractions. So now in the first fraction, the denominator is 4x, and the second fraction denominator is 3x. So if we multiply the first fraction by 3, both the numerator and denominator, and the second fraction by 4, we can easily see that we have the same denominator now, which is 12x. And the numerators are going to be 3 times 2x plus 1 and 4 times 7 minus 5x. Now expand the bracket of the numerators. So that's 6x plus 3 and 28 minus 20x. We can combine it as a single fraction because the denominators are exactly the same. So now combine the like terms. 6x minus 20x is minus 14x. 3 plus 28 is 31. And this is your fraction in its simplest form because we Cannot further simplify this. 14, 31, and 12 don't come in the same times table. So this is your answer. Question 13 says, Aman has 2 bags of beads. In bag A, there are 3 white beads and 7 black beads. In bag B, there are 5 white beads and 4 black beads. He takes out random a bead from bag A and bag B. Complete the probability tree diagram. So looking at A, he has 3 white and 7 black. So for white, the probability would be 3 out of 10, and black would be 7 out of 10. Now for bag B, he has 5 white and 4 black. So for white, it's 5/9. Black is 4/9. And same goes over here, 5/9 and 4/9. So this is our complete probability tree diagram. Then it says work out the probability that Aman takes 2 beads of the same color. 2 beads of the same color. He can either take white and white, or he can take black and black. So when you're moving along the branches, you multiply. Across the branches, you add. So we do 3/10 times 5/9 plus, because now we're moving to black and black. So that's 7/10 times 4/9. So if we simplify this, 3 ones are 3, 3 threes are 9, 5 ones are 5, and 2 over here. This becomes 2, this becomes 5. So that's 1/6 plus 14/45. 43/90. That's your answer. Question 14 is 5 marks. So it says that the combined savings of Abel and Bahira are 15,435 dinars. The savings of Bahira 3/2 times the savings of Chanda. Work out the savings of Chanda. So we have 3 people. We have 3 people, and they have told us that combined savings for Abel and Bahira are 15,435 dinars. So Bahira is 45% more than Abel. So that's going to be 145/100 of x. And I'm saying Abel is x. Then Bahira is also 3/2 times the savings of Chanda. So Chanda is y. Together they have 15,435 dinars. So x plus 145/100 x equals to this. So that's going to be x plus 1.45x equals to 15,435. That's 2.45x. Then we're going to divide this by 2.45. And that's going to give us 6,300. So that is Abel's saving. So for Bahira, that's going to be 1.45 times 6,300, which is going to give us 9,135. So for Chanda, that's now 2/3 of Bahira. So that's 2/3 of 9,135. is equal to 6,090 dinars. That is her savings. So do it step by step. Start with assigning them variables, create separate equations, then use the total number of savings to find the value of x, then find Bahira's saving using that, and then ultimately you can find Chanda's savings. Question 15 says the function f is defined as f of x equals to 3x plus 1 over x minus 2. State the value of x that cannot be included in any domain of the function. So that's x equals to 2. Why x equals to 2? Because when you put x equals to in the function, 3 times 2 plus 1 over 2 minus 2. That gives us 7 over 0. Anything divided by 0 is undefined. So whenever you're trying to find the value of the function where it doesn't exist, you will put your denominator equal to 0, which in this case was x minus 2. And for that, x was equal to 2. So this is how you find your value where your function doesn't exist in a rational function. This function is a rational function. Then it says express the inverse of the function in the form of f inverse x equals to something. So for that, f of x is 3x plus 1 over x minus 2. So first, replace the f of x with y. This is what we have. Cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. So y times x minus 2. Expand the bracket. Xy minus 2y equals to 3x plus 1. So remember, whenever you're trying to find the inverse of a function and you replace f of x with y, our goal is to make x the subject of the equation. So as you can see, initially y is the subject, and now I'm rearranging this equation so that somehow x is the subject. So since x is supposed to be the subject, I'm going to collect the terms with x on one side. So that means it's going to be xy minus 3x equals to 1 minus 2y over here. Take x common, y minus 3 equals to 1 minus 2y. X equals to 1 minus 2y over y minus 3. And if we compare this to the original equation, we can see that x is the subject now, not y. So last step is to replace x with f inverse x and the y's in the equation with x. So this is your inverse. So remember, we start with replacing f of x with y. Then we try to make x the subject of the equation instead of y. And once we've done that, we're going to replace x with f inverse x and y with x. And that's going to give you the inverse of the function. Question 16 says there are 20 sweets in a box. 15 of the sweets are red, 5 of the sweets are yellow. Fred takes at random 3 sweets from the box. Work out the probability that Fred takes at least 1 sweet of each color from the box. So this is a 4-mark question. We have to work out the probability that he's taking 3 sweets and he takes at least 1 sweet of each color. So that means it can be more than 1 as well. So he's either taking red, red, yellow, or red, yellow, red, or yellow, red, red. Then he's either taking yellow, yellow, red, or yellow, red, yellow, or red, yellow, yellow. So which means if we find the probability of one thing like red, red, yellow, we times it by 3. That would give us all of these probabilities. And if we find the probability of yellow, yellow, red, and times that by 3, that gives us all of these probabilities. So for red, it's 15 over 20 And then red again would be 14 over 19. Why 14 over 19? Because it's without replacement. So there's one less sweet in the box now. And for yellow, it's going to be 5 over 18. So I'm going to times this by 3 because the probability of all these three is going to be the same. Plus then this second row. So yellow is going to be 5 over 20 times 4 over 19 times 15 over 18. And then again times 3. So now if we simplify this, 5 ones are 5, 5 fours are 20, 3 ones are 3, this becomes 6, this is 5, this is 2, this is 2, this is 7. So that is 35 over 76. 5 ones are 5, this is 4, 4s get cancelled out, 3, 1, 6, 5, 2, so that's 5 over 38. Lowest common multiple is 76, so this is 35 plus 5 times 2. That is 10. So 45 over 76 is your probability of Fred taking at least one sweet of each color from the box. So remember, you can either like write them separately and then solve it, or just times it by 3 for the same type of thing that's happening, and then add that to the other thing that's happening. Was 4 marks. Then question 17 says, show that 1 plus root 5 can be written in the form of a plus root b, where a and b are integers. Show each stage of your working clearly. So this is a 3-mark question. So in this, we're going to rationalize the denominator. And when rationalizing the denominator, we're going to multiply the fraction by the conjugate of the denominator. So the conjugate will have the opposite sign. So it's going to be 3 plus root 5 over 3 plus root 5. Both the numerator and denominator get multiplied with 3 plus root 5. So now multiply the numerators with the numerators and the denominators with the denominators. So if we look at the denominators, we can see that it follows the rule of difference of perfect squares, where a plus b times a minus b when you factorize it. So if we convert this into a square minus b square, that's going to be 3 square minus root 5 squared. And over here in the numerator, we're going to expand the bracket. So 3 plus root 5 plus 3 root 5 plus root 5 squared. So that's 3 plus 4 root 5. In surds, you can only add the surds if the number inside the surd is the same. So both are root 5, so we can add this to 4 root 5. And square of a surd is the number itself, so that's 5. 3 squared is 9, minus 5 again. So that's going to be 8 plus 4 root 5 over 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So 2 plus root 5 is your answer, where a is 2 and b is 5. So for this, you need to remember 2 rules. First, you're going to multiply the numerator and denominator with the denominator, but the sign in the middle will change. So if it's negative, it becomes positive, and vice versa. Once you've done that, then the denominator follows the rule of difference of perfect squares. So you just rewrite it as a square minus b square, where a being one term in the bracket and b being the other. That gets rid of the square root in the denominator. So as you can see, root 5 became 5. Then in the numerator, you're just collecting like terms. In surds, you can only add or subtract them if they have the same number inside the surd. So once you've done with that and simplify your fraction, you will see that there will be no surd in the denominator. It will only be in the numerator. So that's what rationalizing the denominator is in a surd. Question 18 says, a curve C has equation y equals to x cubed minus 40x plus 1. Find the coordinates of both the points on C at which the gradient is 8. So this is 5 marks. So we need to find the coordinates of both the points on C at which the gradient is 8, which means we will differentiate this. So when you differentiate this, the power comes down, gets multiplied with the term, and you subtract 1 from the original power. So that's 3x squared minus 40. Derivative of a constant is always 0, so we get rid of the 1. So since it says that the gradient is 8, so dy by dx would equal to 8. So 8 equals to 3x squared minus 40. Differentiation is always used to find the gradient of a polynomial. So we take the 8 to the other side. So it's 3x squared minus 40 minus 8. So we take the 40 to the other side and collect the like terms. So that's 48 equals to 3x squared. Then we do 48 divided by 3, which is equal to 16. Take the square root on both sides, and we get plus minus 4 for x. So we have negative 4 and positive 4 for x. Now for y, we'll put it back into the original equation. So at x equals to positive 4, y equals to 4 cubed minus 40 times 4 plus 1. That's 64 minus 160 plus 1, which is equal to negative 95. And at x equals to negative 4, y would be negative 4 cubed minus 40 times negative 4 plus 1, negative 64 plus 160 plus 1, and that gives us 97. So this is going to be 97, and this is negative 95. These are your answers. Question 19, which is a 5-mark question, says that work out the value of x. And we answer correct to 3 significant figures. So we have a quadrilateral ABCD. So to find the value of x, we need BD. To find BD, we look at the triangle BCD, where we have one complete set of angle and length, which means that it qualifies for the sine rule. So we can easily use the cosine rule to find the length of BD. So 12.8 over sine of 40 equals to BD over sine of 62. So 12.8 times sine 62 over sine 40 equals to BD, and that gives us 17.58 meters. Now, if you look at the triangle ABD, we can see that we have 3 lengths, and they want us to find one of the angles, which clearly shows that we can use the cosine rule, because for the cosine rule, the condition is that either you need to have 2 lengths and the angle between them. This one is used to find the missing length. And if you have all 3 lengths, you can find a missing angle. So for the missing angle, we're going to do cos A equals to 13.4 squared plus 15.2 squared minus 17.58 squared divided by 2 times 13.4 times 15.2. . . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . 2 . That is going to give us 0.24927. When you find cos inverse of that, that gives us a value of 75.6 degrees. That is your angle correct to 3 significant figures. That's x. Question 20 says the diagram shows a sector OABC of a circle center O. Angle AOC is 60 degrees. The area of the shaded segment ABC is 38 centimeters square. Work out the perimeter of the shaded segment ABC. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. So for the perimeter of the shaded segment, we need the arc length ABC and we need the length of AC. To find the length of AC, we know that OA equals to OC because it's the radius. So using that, if you find the length of AC, 180 minus 60 divided by 2, that gives us angle OAC, which equals to 60 degrees as well. So that means it's an equilateral triangle because this is 60 and this is also 60. And this is the same. So if you find the length of OA, we can easily find the length of AC because they're going to be the same. So to find the length of OA, I'm going to use the area formula. Because they said that the area of the shaded segment ABC is 38. So 38 is basically the difference of area of the sector and area of the triangle. Area of the sector would be 60 over 360 times pi r square minus 1 over 2 times r square times sine of 60. So that is 38 equals to 1 over 6 pi r square. And sine 60 has the value of root 3 over 2. So 1 over 2 r square times root 3 over 2. So that is basically pi r square over 6 minus root 3 r square over 4. So if you subtract the 2, that's going to be, they have a lowest common multiple of 12. So 2 pi r square minus 3 root 3 r square. 38 times 12, cross multiply. That's 456 equals to 2 pi r square minus 3 root 3 r square. So if you solve that, 2 times pi is 6.283 minus 3 root 3. So that gives us 456 is equal to 1.087 r square. So 456 divided by 1.087 being square rooted is the value of r. That's 20.48 centimeters for the radius. So we have the length of AC now because AC is the same as OA and OC. That's 20.48 centimeters. Now for the arc length, we'll do 60 over 360 times 2 pi, r being 20.48. And that's going to give us 21.44 centimeters. So perimeter of the shaded sector is 20.48 plus 21.44. That gives us 41.9 centimeters, correct to 1 decimal place. That's how you solve this. So that's 4 marks. Then 21 says a curve has equation y equals to f of x. There is one minimum point on this curve, and the coordinates of this minimum point are 5, negative 4. Write down the coordinates of the minimum point on the curve with equation. So as you can see, it says y equals to f of x plus 7. That means we have 7 being added to x compared to the original equation. So whenever we're directly adding something to x, that means we're moving that many units to the left-hand side, which means we will move 7 units to the left. X value is 5, so we subtract 5 and 7. That gives us negative 2. So in the first case, your x value is changing. Y value remains the same because we're doing nothing to y. We're just subtracting 7 from the x value. And for the next case, it's y equals to f of x minus 6. Now we're moving 6 units down. So if something is being directly added or subtracted to the function, you're moving the curve up or down. When it's added, you move up. When it's subtracted, you move down. But if something is being directly added or subtracted from x, you're moving horizontally. If you add something to x, you move to the left-hand side. If you subtract something from x, you move to the right-hand side. So for x, the order is opposite. So that means we do negative 4 minus 6. That's negative 10. So x remains the same. Y becomes negative 10. Twenty-two says the incomplete histogram shows some information about the distance in kilometers that 100 adults ran last week. All of the adults ran at least 5 kilometers. None of the adults ran more than 55 kilometers. 14 adults ran between 15 kilometers and 20 kilometers. Complete the histogram. So all of the adults at least ran 5 kilometers. That means the histogram is going to begin from 5. None of the adults ran more than 55. So that's already marked. And 14 ran between 15 and 20. So over here, there are 14. So using this value, we can find the frequency density value over here, and then use that to create a scale for the y-axis and figure out the frequency density values for the other bars. So frequency density has the formula of frequency over class width. So for the 15 to 20, the frequency is 14 and the class width is 5. So 14 divided by 5 is going to give us 2.8. So at this point, your frequency density is 2.8, which means this is 3. This is 3, this is 2, and this is 1. This is 4 and 5. So this one is going to be 3.4. Frequency density is 3.4 over here. This one is 1.4. So they told us that there were 100 adults. So we find the frequency values for these two bars and subtract that from 100. You can find the frequency for the initial bar. So for this one, your frequency is going to be 3.4 times 15, which is going to give us 51. So this is 51. And for so frequency would be 0.4 times 20, which is the class width. That's 8. So for the frequency of the first bar, we do 100 minus 51 minus 14 minus 8, and that gives us 27. So 27 is the frequency for the first bar. So frequency density for that would be 27 divided by the class width, which is 10. That's 2.7. So we will draw a bar with the height of 2.7. That's right beneath this. So first we mark 5 over here. So this is your bar for the histogram. Question 23 says solid shape is made by removing a hemisphere shown shaded from a cone as shown in the diagram. The radius of the hemisphere is 2x centimeters. The radius of the base of the cone is 5x centimeters. The vertical height of the cone is 6x centimeters. The volume of the solid shape is 6,948 pi centimeter cube. Work out the total surface area of the solid hemisphere that has been removed from the cone. Give your answer correct to the nearest integer. So we know that this is 2x and this is 6x. This is 5x. So this would be 3x, this distance. Vertical height of the cone is 6x. Volume of the solid shape is given as 6,948 pi. So for the total surface area of the solid hemisphere that has been removed, we need to find the value of x. So to find the value of x, we can use the volume of the solid shape value. So they said that 6,948 pi is basically volume of the cone is 1/3 pi. R is 5x square h, which is 6x, minus volume of the sphere 4/3 times 1/2 because it's a hemisphere times pi r cube, so 2x cube. So 6,948 pi equals to, if we simplify this, that's 50 pi x square, x cube actually, minus 16/3 pi x cube. So since all the terms have a pi, we can get rid of the pi. So we have 6,948 equals to 50x cube minus 16/3 x cube. So 16/3 can be converted into a decimal, just 5.3 recurring. So 50 minus 5.3 recurring. And then 6,948 would get divided by 44.666 x cubed. So divide the two. That leaves us with 155.55. Then we take the cube root on both ends. That's 5.378. That is the value of x. So now that we have the value of x, we can easily use that to find the total surface area of the solid hemisphere. Now for the hemisphere, the total surface area is your curved surface area and the top circle. So that's 2 pi r square plus pi r square. If I remove this over here now, total surface area is going to be area of the hemisphere plus the area of the top square base. So that's 3 pi r square. So that's 3 pi times 2 times 5.378 squared. That's 1090.36. And I'm going to round this to 1090 centimeter square. Because I want the answer correct to the nearest integer, so that is that. This was 5 marks. Then question 24 says the polygon has n sides where n is greater than 5. The interior angles of the polygon form an arithmetic sequence. The smallest angle of the polygon is 84 degrees. The common difference of the sequence is 4 degrees. Work out the sum of the interior angles of the polygon. Show clear algebraic working. So for arithmetic sequence, your sum is n over 2 times 2a plus n minus 1 times t. A is your first term, n is your number of terms, and d is the common difference. First, we need to figure out the value of n. So sum of n terms would be n over 2 times 2 times 84 plus n minus 1 times the common difference, that is 4. So if you multiply n over 2 with 2 times 84, that's 84n. And this would becomes 2n times n minus 1. Because 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 times n minus 1, which gives us 84n plus 2n square minus 2n. That's 82n plus 2n square. This is our expression for the sum of first n terms. Now, this is the formula that we created based on the fact that it's an arithmetic sequence. But there's one thing as well. It's also a polygon, and they're talking about this interior angles of polygon. So sum of interior angles of a polygon also has a formula, which is n minus 2 times 180. That's 180n minus 360. So if we come to think about it, both things are representing the same thing. One is just created using the arithmetic formula for the sum of an arithmetic sequence, and the other one is created using the sum of interior angles for a polygon. So 82n plus 2n squared can be put equal to 180n minus 360. Once again, they're talking about the sum of interior angles of a polygon. So interior angles of a polygon has a formula of n minus 2 times 180. So we created an equation using that. Then we created another equation for the sum of terms of an arithmetic sequence using the first term and the common difference. So both are representing same things but are created differently. So when you put them equal to each other, what we get is a quadratic equation, which is 2n squared plus 82n minus 180n plus 360 equals to 0. So that's going to be 2n squared minus 98n plus 360 equals to 0. All of these terms can be divided by 2, so n squared minus 49n minus 180 equals to 0. This is our quadratic equation. So now we can factorize this quadratic equation to find the value of n. So now to factorize this quadratic equation, we can use the quadratic formula. I'm going to remove this from here. because we need this space. So n equals to minus negative 49 plus minus square root of negative 49 squared minus 4 times 1 times 180 over 2 times 1. So that's 49 plus minus 41. So one value of n is going to be 49 plus 41 over 2, which gives us 45. And the other would be 49 minus 41 over 2, that's 4. So now they said that n is greater than 5, which means this is our correct value and this one is rejected. So they wanted the sum of interior angles for the polygon. If you use the first one, that's also fine. You can use the other one as well because all you need is the value of n. So S45 would be 82 times 45 plus twice of 45 squared. That gives us 7,740. And let's say we use the other formula. So that's going to be 45 minus 2 times 180. That gives us also the same thing. So this proves basically the entire point of the question that you put the two equations equal to each other, we got the value of n, and the value of n stands for both the formulas. And to find the sum, you can use either of the formulas, whichever you're comfortable with solving, and you'll get the same value for the sum of the interior angles of this polygon. And this was a 6-mark question. Question 25 says that we have a function 17 minus 3x squared plus 12x, right? F of x in the form of a minus b times x minus c whole square, where a, b, and c are constants. So they're asking us to convert this into the completing square form. So let's rewrite this first as negative 3x squared plus 12x plus 17. So first we begin with taking negative 3 common from the entire equation. So that's x squared minus 4x minus 17 over 3. We need to make sure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. So for that, we need to get rid of the negative 3. So we take negative 3 common from the entire equation. Now, we have to complete the square. So when you say complete the square, this is the square that we want to complete. Normally, squares come as a minus b square or a plus b square. We're dealing with a minus b square. A minus b square expands to a square minus 2ab plus b square. So if you notice, right now we have a square, which is x square. We have 2ab, which is 4x. What we need to find is the b square value, what b is. So if you put 4x equal to 2ab, that's 4x equals to 2xb because our a is x. And 4x divided by 2x gives us the value of b, which is 2. So we can rewrite this as negative 3 bracket x squared minus 4x. Now plus b squared, so plus 2 squared. But we'll do minus 2 squared as well. Now the reason why I'm doing minus 2 squared as well is because we're adding a new term that is plus b squared in this equation. So if you're adding something new, you have to subtract it as well. If you're multiplying something new, you have to divide it as well. So it's going to be negative 3 bracket x plus 2 squared. Now this x squared minus 4x is complete. It's a complete square now. So we can rewrite it as x plus 2 whole square. Sorry, minus 2 whole square. And then we have minus 4 minus 17 over 3 outside this bracket. So if we multiply the negative 3 with everything, so that's going to be negative 3 times x minus 2 whole square plus 12 plus 17, and that's negative 3 times x minus 2 whole square plus 29. This is your equation in complete square form. So your a value is 29. You can rewrite it like this: 29 minus 3 times x minus 2 whole square. Both ways that's correct. So remember, we're trying to complete a square. To complete a square, first we need to see whether the coefficient of x square is 1 or greater than that. Since it's greater than 1 over here, so when you take that coefficient common, so negative 3 is taken common from the entire equation. That leaves us with x squared minus 4x minus 17 over 3 in the bracket. Our goal is to complete the x squared minus 4x. That is the square that we have to complete, because that is similar to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, which basically factorizes to a minus b whole square. So using that concept, we put 4x equal to 2ab. 2ab became 2xb. Using that, we found the value of b, which is 2. So 2 square was being added because that's what the formula is to complete the square. But it was subtracted as well because plus 2 square is a new thing that we introduced. After that, we rewrite the x square minus 4x plus 2 square as a complete square. And the rest of the terms get solved with each other. Multiply the negative 3 back with everything else again. And we get our answer in completing square form.